It was supposed to be one of those memory-making summer adventures. Me, my cousin Nate, and our two close friends, Maya and Chris, we'd been planning this hiking trip for weeks. The idea was simple. 2 nights, 3 days, deep in the national forest, camping by this remote lake only accessible by a 10-mile trail. We were all pretty outdoorsy, packed food, gear, power banks, everything. No cell signal out there, but we didn't care. That was part of the charm. The first few miles were fine. Lots of joking, stopping for photos, streams, sunlight cutting through the trees. But around mile 6, we started noticing something strange. Twice, we spotted the same person. A guy, older, maybe in his 50s, wearing camo pants, a dirty jacket, and a faded red cap. He wasn't hiking like us. He didn't have a pack. No water bottle. No gear. The first time he passed us from behind, walking fast, never said a word. Second time, he was just standing off trail, watching us, didn't wave, didn't smile, just stared. We finally made it to the lake by late afternoon and set up camp near the water. It was beautiful. Quiet, secluded, perfect. But none of us could shake the feeling. Nate kept glancing at the trees. Maya even asked, "What if that guy followed us here?" We all laughed it off, until around midnight. That's when we heard the first sound, twigs snapping. Then, a soft cough. We turned off the fire and froze. It was pitch black. Chris whispered, "There's someone out there." We didn't sleep much. At sunrise, we found fresh footprints in the dirt. Boot prints way bigger than any of ours, leading up behind our tents. And Maya's backpack? Gone. We searched around but couldn't find it. She swore it was zipped and inside her tent when she fell asleep. That's when it stopped feeling like a weird encounter and started feeling like we were being hunted. We decided to pack up and head back down the trail immediately. No breakfast, just moved. But it felt like someone was just behind us the entire time. At one point, Nate stopped and said, "I swear, I just saw that guy again, like behind a tree." None of us turned around for the next mile. No one spoke. The forest didn't feel calm anymore. It felt watched. With about 2 miles left, we finally started seeing signs of civilization, broken branches that meant others had used the trail recently. Relief was setting in. Then suddenly, on the path ahead, we saw it. Maya's backpack, propped against a tree stump. We froze. It looked untouched, zipped up. Chris said, "It's bait." We didn't go near it, just hurried past, faster than before. Back at the trailhead, no sign of anyone, not even cars parked nearby, nothing. We reported it, gave the ranger station all the details. They didn't seem surprised. One of them just said, "Yeah, you're not the first to describe that guy." Apparently they'd had stories for years, never anything violent, but always just enough to scare hikers off. We never found out who he was or what he wanted, but I'll tell you this, we never hiked that trail again, and none of us sleep well in tents anymore. Last summer, me and 2 of my friends, Max and Jordan, decided to go on a weekend hiking trip. Just something chill to get away from city stress. The kind of trip where you leave your phones on airplane mode and just enjoy the woods. We picked a pretty well-known trail about 3 hours out, forested, peaceful, with a few campsites along the way. It was a simple plan. Hike in, stay the night, hike back out. That's it, or it should have been. We started the trail late morning. Weather was perfect. Spirits were high. About 2 hours in, we saw another hiker coming toward us. Older guy, maybe in his 50s, with a weirdly big pack and this stiff way of walking. We nodded at him like hikers usually do. Polite, but not chatty. But he stopped. Just stood there for a second, staring at us. Then he asked, "You guys planning to stay out here overnight?" We kind of paused. Then Max said, "Yeah." The guy nodded slowly, then said, "Be careful who you talk to out here," and walked off. No smile, no goodbye, just that. We laughed it off at first, called him Creepy Trail Dad. But I remember how cold my arms felt after he left, like I knew I wasn't going to forget that guy. We kept hiking, set up camp by a small creek before sunset. It was a quiet spot. We had a little fire going, cooked some food, talked about random stuff. Everything felt normal again. Then, just before dark, we noticed something strange up the hill behind our site. A blue tarp, not a tent, just a tarp, tied up awkwardly between some trees. We hadn't seen anyone else on the trail since Creepy Trail Dad, and this tarp definitely hadn't been there earlier. Jordan wanted to check it out. Max and I said nope, none of our business. But we couldn't stop glancing at it all evening. That night we went to sleep around 11. It was dead silent, not even bugs. At maybe 1 a.m. I woke up to a sound. Footsteps, not animal sounds, human footsteps, crunching slowly on pine needles circling the tent. I held my breath. I could feel Max and Jordan tense up next to me. They were awake too. The steps paused, then walked away. We didn't say a word to each other. Just lay there, completely still. I don't think any of us slept after that. By first light, we were packed up and ready to leave. No breakfast, no fire, nothing. But when we stepped away from the tent, we saw something that made my stomach drop. On the dirt, just a few feet from where we slept, someone had used a stick to write "Always watching." All caps, big, uneven letters. That was it for us. We booked it down the trail, practically running the whole way back to the car. No one spoke the entire hike. Back at the trailhead, we finally spoke. We all thought the same thing. It had to be that guy we passed. But here's the part that still messes with me. When I checked Reddit later that week, someone else had posted on the hiking forum. Same trail, same blue tarp, same guy. Except in their case, they said he never spoke. He just watched them from a distance. And the tarp? It was empty when they checked it, nothing inside, just a tarp. We never went back. And to this day, if I see blue tarps or someone just staring for too long in the woods, I get chills. A few months ago, I went on a solo hiking trip. It was something I had wanted to do for a while. Just me, the trees, a camera, and some quiet. I picked a well-maintained state park trail. It wasn't too remote, but it was deep enough to feel like I was alone in the woods. I packed my gear, brought my old DSLR camera, and headed out early in the morning. About an hour in, I found this beautiful clearing. Sunlight was breaking through the trees perfectly. I took out my camera, adjusted the lens, and started snapping photos. At one point, I swear I heard a twig snap behind me. I turned around quickly, but no one was there. I chalked it up to wildlife, or just the forest messing with my head. Later that afternoon, I stumbled across something strange. It was a trail camera, one of those motion-activated wildlife cameras, strapped to a tree with a camo strap. It wasn't part of the park's equipment. It looked cheap, almost homemade. Out of curiosity, I opened the latch. It wasn't locked. Inside, there was a small SD card and a dead battery pack. I pocketed the card, figuring I'd check it out later. That was mistake number one. As the day went on, I couldn't shake this weird feeling, like I wasn't alone. Every now and then, I'd stop and listen, and I'd hear faint movement, not animal-like, heavier, slower. But every time I turned around, nothing, no one. I set up camp near a small creek before dusk, made a fire, cooked some food, and tried to relax. But as night fell, I noticed something strange in the distance. A red, blinking light. Just one. It was coming from deeper in the forest, way off trail, and then it stopped. Made it back safely the next day and almost forgot about the SD card. That night, I plugged it into my laptop. There were dozens of photos, but they weren't of wildlife. They were of hikers, sleeping, cooking, walking, photos taken from a distance, and sometimes terrifyingly up close. And then I saw it, a photo of me from the previous day, taken just after I'd turned around when I thought I heard a twig snap. The last photo was a selfie, blurry, taken at night, a face half lit by red light. It wasn't me, and it definitely wasn't a ranger, just some guy in a hoodie, smiling, holding my trail camera. He had put it back after watching me. I reported everything to the police. They took it seriously, but they never found him. I still hike, but I don't go alone anymore, and I never pick up anything that isn't mine.